Welcome to Module 1, the beginning of your chapter work. By now you should have read the viewer info. You should have watched the video right next to it on how this course works. Now, this chapter, I'm still going to do a little review of that, so you're still familiar with it, and just in case you didn't watch that video, all right? Again, if you haven't watched that video in Module 0, I would make sure you get yourself to watch it. I'd get your parent to watch it so they all understand what you're supposed to do, okay? Now, this is the chapter that's going to help you get a permit. So basically, you're going to watch the video, read the learn, take the quiz and pass, and then take the permit test, pass, and then you'll watch a video on what to take the DPS, and then you'll print off the certificate. I've had a lot of people print that certificate off and go, woohoo, I have my permit. No, you don't have your permit until you go to the DPS, take a picture and a thumbprint, and they hand you a piece of paper that says this is your permit. So be aware of that, all right? So let's get started into this chapter. This chapter will have some videos. This chapter is a little different. I'm not going to necessarily teach from the learn as other modulars I do, okay? This one I want to cover some highlighted points because this chapter is actually the DPS book. If you took the DPS book and opened it, it pretty much follows it almost word to word, okay? So my deal here is to just go through some situations to kind of help you basically help you go through understanding some rules. You've never had them, and you're going to read about them. And me, I just wanted to kind of put them in place to let you know. Now, in this chapter, in the learn part, when you go to it, make sure you really study the signs part, because you're going to have about probably 10 or 15 signs. It's just going to give you like a stop sign, and you got to tell us what it is. All right? So let's begin. There are two parts to every modular. There's the video phase and the learn phase. Then you have a quiz, and only the modular 1 do you have a permit test. All other modulars are on the video, the learn, and the quiz. Okay, video versus learn. Basically, some of the videos you could just basically watch me and then go straight to the quiz. This is a chapter you don't want to do that because you want to look through that learn because there's a lot of stuff in it. There will be almost every module will have the review quiz. Like I will have the questions to the review quiz. I'm not going to necessarily answer them, okay? I might answer a few or two that I really stick out that I want to. But what you could do is write down the quiz answers, okay? And then when you go to the learn, you'll have that little list of quiz answers down, and you can look at them. And as you go through, you can answer the quizzes as you go through. And that helps you pass the quiz, but it's not necessarily, cliff notes if that's what you want. It's basically to help you understand what I'm going to ask, okay? Again, here we are with this part. You read this, you watched this video, and now we're right here watching this video. You're going to go through this part, okay? Once you've done that, this quiz will turn green, and then when you pass, it'll turn purple, and then this will turn green, and then when you pass, it'll turn purple, and then this will turn green. Okay, now if you all do this in 1 or 2 days, this will still be yellow here, okay? On the 3rd day, if you've done all this, this will turn green. If it's red, it's because you didn't open this, or this, okay? Other than that, and then sometimes, don't get me wrong, you might need to go over here and log out and log back in, and it'll refresh it and turn green. So, okay? So let's go to the next slide. The next slide right here, you see that, basically you covered everything. It turned green, purple, purple. That's a good color. This should be green. This is green now. Open up your certificate, clicked on it. We talked about that. If you forgot what you need to do, watch that video again. All right. And then you watch the video, open the Learn, take the quiz. And that's how it is from there on out. It's video, learn, quiz, video, learn, quiz, video, learn, quiz. And then module 13 is for the student, but it's also for the parent that's teaching you, where they could basically go through the videos. They could read the Learn. They don't necessarily have to read the Learn on the module 13. They could go through the videos, because the videos will explain each drive time. Okay. We are talking about rules and signs, mainly the DPS book, how this chapter all works versus all other chapters. It's a little different because you have a permit test. By the way, if you ever get one of these right here, it turns purple. It just means you didn't pass the test or you walked away from the test. Okay, you have to email us to reset those, so be aware of that. Okay, completion of each modular. Once you finish this modular, you will get a certificate. And don't forget to complete the chapters 10 months. This is very important. You have 10 months to finish all of these. Okay, not your drive times, all of these, making them turn green, purple, and so forth. Once you finished all the way through 12, and all the quizzes have turned purple, all the icons have turned green, you're ready to go. Okay, you never have to worry about 10 months. You can log in for the rest of your life. Okay, make sure you go through the Learn part of each modular, mainly this one. This is huge. This is a very long chapter, okay, versus all the others. All right. Okay, we're going to watch a video on on young drivers' high risk years.
I couldn't wait. Couldn't wait.
I was really excited.
I got my license the day that I could.
Oh, the minute he could.
It was awesome. I'm pretty sure the first place I went when I got my license was Taco Bell. I was really excited. I went and drove everywhere. To a friend's house so I could show off.
Having that freedom.
Go wherever you want to go.
You don't have to depend on your parents anymore.
Going on dates or something, you don't have to have your mom driving you.
It's just one less thing they have to worry about.
I can just leave my house and I don't really have to tell her what I'm doing.
It's fun to be with your friends in your car and listen to music.
16 is when you start becoming more mature.
Yeah.
I think.
Teenagers in the United States get their licenses earlier than in most other countries, and they have easier access to cars once they're licensed. In many families, giving the car keys to a newly licensed driver means not only freedom for the teenager, but also relief for the parents from seemingly endless chauffeuring duties. But it comes with a potentially high price.
Crashes are the #1 cause of death among teens. Per mile driven, the crash rate for teen drivers is 4 times the crash rate for adults. It's higher still at night, and it's higher when there are other teens riding in the vehicle. It's the highest still right after they get their license. In fact, the crash rate for 16-year-olds is twice as high as the crash rate for 18 and 19-year-olds. During the learner permit, when teens are doing practice driving with their parents in the car, crash rates are really low. That's a very safe way for teens to drive. But once the teen begins to drive without their parent in the car, crash rates skyrocket. Teens are inexperienced drivers. They're more likely to speed.
I think it's fun.
Going 80, 85.
I end up rushing a lot.
They make more driving errors.
I almost hit a person like a week ago.
They take corners too fast.
Yeah, I flipped over my car.
They may follow too closely.
And I rear-ended them.
They're not always able to handle a hazardous situation that pops up for the first time. Driving in bad weather, for example.
It was raining outside.
And we like skidded and like slid.
An adult driver just has more experience handling a situation like that. Teen drivers tend to minimize their risk and overestimate their driving ability.
I think I'm a good driver.
Yeah, I'd say I'm a pretty good driver.
I think I'm a pretty good driver.
I would say I'm a good driver for now.
And that can get them into trouble.
She just loved people. She made friends easy, and she had a lot of friends. Brenda was a good student. She loved to learn. She was really looking forward to going to college. And I never will forget when she had been watching the mail close for her acceptance letter to see if she got into JMU. And she went to the mailbox that day and she came on back. She come through that door and she said, yes, yes, yes. And she opened up the envelope, you know, and she looked and she read it. I can see her now. She just, yes, 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 she said. It was a beautiful January day. The sky was so pretty and blue and the sun was bright. And it was just a lovely day. And that particular day, she didn't have to be to school till 11 o'clock. She sit there and she ate a bowl of cereal and she changed clothes 3 times before she left. When she got in the truck, she put a seatbelt on. When she sit in a vehicle, if she was going to drive or if she was riding, she always put a seatbelt on. And anyway, that morning the police scanner was on, and I just, in the back of my mind, I heard them say that there had been a bad accident on Route 130. And I get on down there, and there's a fireman in the road, you know, directing traffic, and I can see a truck, and I could see the bumper. And I saw the sticker. And I knew it was our truck. So I pulled over to the side of the road. And I asked that fireman, I said, the little girl driving that truck, I said, is she hurt bad? He said, are you kin to her? I said, yes, I'm her mother. And by that time, 2 rescue squad workers. One got one side of me and one got on the other side. And I said, the little girl driving that truck, I said, is she hurt bad? And the woman said, yes, ma'am. I said, is she dead? She said, yes, ma'am.
Brandy was an inexperienced driver who died in a crash just 1 month after getting her license. Inexperience contributes to many crashes involving beginners. For 16-year-olds, the first few months of driving is when the risk is highest. Many parents think that driver education is a good way to address some of this risk. It's a good and convenient way to help new drivers learn skills, but parents shouldn't rely on it because poor skills aren't always to blame. Many crashes with young drivers involve their attitudes, not their skills.
New drivers of any age have a higher crash risk, but the issue for teens is that they're coupling that driving inexperience with immaturity.
I love to blast my music in the car.
They're young.
Driving a car, it's like riding a bike.
They may be prone to risk-taking.
I drive real reckless.
The combination of driving inexperience and immaturity is a lethal combination. It leads to a much higher crash risk for new teen drivers.
She got her license on her 16th birthday. She got her car on her 16th birthday. She had waited for it. We had waited for it. We were just as anxious for her to have her license as she was to have her license. She was probably the kind of child that every parent would hope to have. She took everything life had to offer and made the most of it. She had danced for almost 15 years. She had been a competitor in gymnastics, percussionist in the band, And she loved everything she did, and she could never get enough. Unfortunately, Shannon was 16. She was a teenager behind the wheel. She was going to a slumber party that night, and Shannon had a passenger in the car, and her friend had passed her, and probably a combination of, let me see what my little four-cylinder car can do. Rebecca saying, come on, Shannon, pass Heidi. And as Shannon tried to pass Heidi, Heidi moved over so Shannon couldn't get by her. Shannon lost control of the car, and she was hooked up to life support for 24 hours, but she got caught up in the spirit of the moment, a little bit of peer pressure, a lot of being a teenager and thinking you're invincible. It won't happen to me.
Shannon's crash was like many other serious ones involving teenagers. It was at night, and it involved speeding and thrill-seeking. Graduated licensing restrictions on young beginning drivers help prevent some of these crashes, and so can restrictions imposed by parents.
The concept behind graduated licensing is to ease teens into driving so that they gain experience in low-risk situations. So the first stage of graduated licensing is a learner's permit. During this period, the parent or another adult is in the car. Then the next stage is what would be called an intermediate license, and this is the stage where the teen first begins to drive without their parent in the vehicle. But graduated licensing limits that driving.
The best graduated licensing systems require 50 or more hours of supervised driving during the learner stage, licensure at 16 and a half years or older, and limitations on night driving and driving with other teenagers in the vehicle until the beginning driver is 18.
All states now have some elements of graduated licensing, and research study after study has found that graduated licensing laws are highly effective in reducing teen crashes. The stronger the graduated licensing law, the bigger the crash reductions.
These kinds of legal restrictions, reinforced by parents, let young beginners be mobile and get driving experience, but they do so under conditions of controlled risk. Protecting young people while they're learning to drive is really the essence of these restrictions. Graduated licensing programs around the country have reduced crashes of teenage drivers up to 30%. But in many states, the restrictions imposed by the laws are still weak. For example, many nighttime crashes of young drivers happen between 9 p.m. and midnight. But the driving restrictions in many states begin at midnight or 1 a.m. And some states don't restrict teen passengers, even though the risk of a crash goes up with even one passenger in the car. And with multiple teen passengers, the risk is 3 to 5 times greater than when a teenager drives alone. Driving around with groups of teenagers at any time of the day is a bad idea. And the highest risk for young drivers is after 9 o'clock at night with other teens in the car. This is when inexperience and immaturity are most likely to lead to dangerous behavior.
Gabriel always had a smile on his face, and so did everybody around him. The very best of kids. Adoro kept the rules. Everybody loved him. The driver was driving too fast. And there was one of Gabriel's favorite songs on the radio. And so it's party time, and she was in the back seat. And he was in the front seat, dancing with her. He was up dancing with her. And the driver might well have been distracted by that. Gabriel was not wearing a seatbelt. He always wore a seatbelt. He used to tell me to wear a seatbelt. It's late at night, multiple teenagers, radio going on, and not much experience in driving. And here he was in a moment of carelessness. An unguarded moment of carelessness, when he was dancing in a car instead of looking straight ahead with a seatbelt on. He was dancing with the girl in the back seat. And the driver was carried away also with the party that was going on in his car, is what happened to 16-year-olds. And the driver was not seriously hurt physically. The little girl was not seriously hurt physically. Gabriel's not here anymore.
Gabriel wasn't even driving. He was a passenger having fun in the car with other teenagers. Letting your teenager ride with a teen driver is very risky, and Gabriel wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Belt use by teenagers is lower than for adults, and for teen passengers, it's particularly low. Most teens who are killed in crashes aren't using their seatbelts. This is why parents should insist on belt use all the time for everyone in the car. Parents have a critical role during the very dangerous first year of driving. They have much more influence than is typically credited to them.
Parents are still the key decision makers about their teens driving.
With or without a strong graduated licensing law, parents can establish effective rules. First, know the law. Become familiar with your state's restrictions on young drivers, and then enforce them.
Parents are the chief enforcers of their state's licensing laws, and they can supplement the laws with other rules that limit nighttime driving and teen passengers.
There's a midnight curfew. It's 10 o'clock for us.
They have a very strong influence on how their teen learns to drive.
Take every opportunity to drive with them in bad weather, darkness.
You try to cover all the different driving situations your teen might encounter, so that the first time your child is in that situation, they've had practice and they know what to expect and how to respond. One of the most important decisions a parent can make is when they allow their teen to get a license.
It's not a given that once you turn 16, you'll be able to get your license.
Even though your teen may be pressuring you to get the license as soon as possible, the longer you can wait to let your teen begin to drive, the safer your teen will be.
It's been beaten into our heads enough, and drinking and driving is beyond stupid.
Parents should insist on no alcohol. Teenagers are less likely than adults to drive after drinking, but their crash risk is much higher when they do.
Distractions are a common factor in the crashes of newly licensed teen drivers. Cell phones and texting, for example, are a problem for teens because it takes their attention away from the driving task. And almost half of teens have reported that they've texted while driving, and even more have said that they've talked on phones while driving.
I do text and drive on phone. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
You know, when you get that buzz or that ring, it's a habit. It's just a reflex to go and check your phone.
It is really distracting, and you try so hard not to look at the text.
There are a growing number of states that have laws banning cell phones for young drivers, but young drivers often ignore those bans.
This is one reason laws aren't sufficient. Another reason is that cell phones and texting aren't the only distractions.
It's really easy for me to get distracted with other people in my car, the music.
You know, you're constantly looking down at your GPS or fumbling with the papers in your hands.
Eating. I can't eat and drive. It's so hard.
Anything that takes attention away from the driving task is going to be more problematic for young drivers.
Parents need to send a clear message to their teens that they need to focus on driving.
One of the most important decisions parents make about their teens driving is the vehicle that they'll drive. And there are several features of vehicles that make a difference. The vehicle should be mid-size or larger. They should avoid really small vehicles. They should avoid sporty vehicles. And they should avoid pickups because these vehicles have a tendency to roll over and they're harder to handle.
The best vehicle choice for your teen is one with the latest safety technology, including side airbags that protect people's heads and electronic stability control. Teenagers often don't perceive they're at risk, and they think they're invincible.
You don't think that it's ever going to happen to you.
It won't happen to me. I'm young, I'm healthy, nothing bad's gonna happen to me.
Attitudes like this, combined with immaturity and peer pressure, can lead any teenager to drive irresponsibly. Their driving behavior is likely to be far different from when parents are in the car.
If I'm in the car with my mom, I'll drive the speed limit and make sure I turn on all my blinkers and everything. But if you're in a car with your friends on a Friday night, some of those things just kind of go out the window a little bit.
Graduated licensing programs are an important step toward reducing the risks for beginning drivers. But the role of parents is critical during the very dangerous first years of driving. We know what works: restrictions on driving after 9 or 10 at night, and not allowing teenage passengers. These restrictions don't keep teens from getting to after-school activities or to work, but they do cut down on some of the most dangerous kinds of recreational driving.
Parents may not recognize how important their decisions are. Our research suggests that teens will stay safer when their parents stay involved.
We were taking a turn at 70, even though it's advised to take it at 35 or whatever. And like, we just lost control and like just flipped, but we were all good.
We were in his driveway, he is in reverse and he floors it and he crashes into a tree.
She didn't have her headlights on and it was nighttime. And I was like, you know, you need to turn those on. And she just continued to drive with them off.
There was an island there, and so I went over the island.
I really wasn't paying attention, and I just made a right and almost hit like 3 little kids.
It doesn't affect me directly. I'm not going to worry about it until it does.
You just keep going, but you never really get over it. You never really, it's no way in the world you can get over losing somebody, especially a child.
Okay, now if you're doing this from an iPhone, iPad, you may not be able to see this. You might want to pause it and blow it up or take a picture of it, you know, with maybe another phone, and then you could blow it up and look at the questions. But some of these are real good, so I'm just going to kind of read through these and go through them. The name of the intersection with the light is a what? It is called what? A protected turn light. Or, it's actually an unprotected turn light. Okay, not that, because A here is going to make a turn and he's unprotected. Okay, now they don't have too many of these lights anymore, at least where we live at. They changed these to yellow blinking lights. All right, but every now and then I've been in some small towns, I've been in some regular towns, I've been in some places where these are sort of green when they turn, and you sit there while these cars are going straight. Okay, you must yield right there behind the crosswalk if there is one, and then when it's clear, you will turn probably after this guy right here. Okay, so the answer to number 1 is C. Okay. All right, number 2, Porsche A wants to make a left turn at the light. What should he position his car to do? Okay, I say right there, a lot of people would say go out to the middle and wait. Again, some small towns may have some lights that will give you a ticket if the light turns yellow or red and you make the turn. If it's a yellow arrow, you might be able to go out there, but I would just say stay back here, wait till it's clear, and then make your turn. Okay, to make a left turn safely, Porsche should what? Basically, we're going to wait after car C. There's no cars here. We're going to wait after this car. Okay? Number 4, car Z wants to make a left turn. In order to do that, car Z needs to wait till after, again, car W. So here's car Z. He's making a left turn. There's no light. He's going to wait till this car goes. There's a big opening here, and then he'll make his turn and go straight through there. Okay, so be aware of that. Okay. Number 5, as Porsche A wants to make his or her decision where to go, the most dangerous component that is overlooked is what? Okay, what is overlooked is they want to try to turn between these two cars and not after the big gap here. So just be aware of that. Number 6, Porsche wants to make the left turn, must always what? Okay, so if they're right here, okay, they're going to look left, then right, and then left again. And the key thing that they forget is this car right here making a left turn. Okay, so watch that. The key clear here, left, right, left. You want to look left, right, left. And if we go to number 7 here, the key clear is center. Okay, because if there's no cars coming this way and there's no cars coming this way, then this is the one you forget about. So kind of be aware of that. Okay. Number 9, if the light turns yellow or red, what should Porsche do? Wait right there. Don't go. Okay, don't go out in the middle. So be aware of that. As Porsche waits for Corvette X, you know, what should he do? Yeah, Corvette X just kind of waits here. Sometimes this has got like a big shoulder here, and sometimes they try to go around like this and then go. That is illegal to do. So you got A, and X wants to get around. He's got to wait till A clears. All right. Number 11, if the light was protected left, what would happen? If it was protected left, okay, it would be a green arrow, and a green arrow would be able to make you turn. So be aware of that. All right. So these are just little intersections, little situations that I've thought up that I want to go through with you as you get into this learn part of the chapter. Okay. Rules of the intersection. How do they work? Okay. So if I have a car here, okay, we're going to call this orange and red. So if these cars both got there at the same time, who goes first? Okay. Well, first of all, let's just do it this way. Let's say this car does not exist. Okay. So let's go into racing. Okay. So whoever gets there first goes first. All right. So now I got this car, little orange right here. He pulls up and he gets there at the same time. It is the car on the right. So it would be this car that goes because he's on the right of this car. Okay. So it's always the car to the right. All right. So be aware of that. And so the first one that gets there first, then it's the car to the right. So let's give you another situation. Okay. Let's say the car is right here. Who goes first? Well, if they're both going straight, they would just both go straight. They're not going to affect each other. But if this car is turning, this car, because it's turning, must yield to the car going straight. So if that makes sense. So let's go over the 3 rules. First one that gets there first, the person on the right. And then the person turning must yield to the person going straight. All right? So just kind of be aware of those. And those are very important little rules as you go through little intersections, because you're going to have some intersections to discuss on your practice rules test, which is that quiz, and then the actual permit test, you'll have some too. So those little rules of the right of way, those that keep there. And then you get big road over little road. If you're in a parking lot, you lose to a regular road. So a dirt road loses to a paved road. And I could keep going on. And that's in your chapters there of the DPS book. Okay? All right, so here's our first question. All right? Number 12 here. All right, let's change that color. Number 12, if you're driving car A, which is this car right here, okay? Okay, what should A do? Okay, we don't know. Okay, we got 4 stop signs. That's what you gotta look for. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a 4-way stop. Okay, I don't know who got there first. So I'm gonna assume that they tied. I must yield the right of way to car B. So B is gonna go, all right? Number 13, what kind of intersection is this? This is a 4-way stop. How do you know it's a 4-way stop? You count the stop signs when you're at the intersection. All right? What if A got there first? If A got there first, he's going to go first. What if A and B got there at the same time? Obviously, B would go first. Okay? So hopefully that'll help you out there when you get into all this, this stuff. Okay? So let's go to our next question here. This question has to do with these. Who goes first if A is turning left? So A is right here, he's turning left, okay? And if he's turning left, then B would go first because he's going straight, okay? What if car B is turning left? 2, okay, all right? So they would kind of turn at the same time. They would turn here, and oh, hang on, let me erase that so you can see it, okay? So this car would turn here, and this car would turn here. They could turn they would both go at the same time, not affecting each other. Now, if it was multi-lanes, they would just have to sit there until it cleared out. So kind of be aware of that. Number 18 right here. Who has the right of way at this intersection? Well, remember, this car is going straight, this car going straight. So this guy right here has to yield the right of way. All right. So once they clear out, then this guy can make his turn and go from there, or make his turn and go from here. All right. So what's the name of this intersection? It usually is called a T intersection. All right. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, we're going to watch this next video on some intersections. All right, number 20. You are driving car A. You may legally use the middle lane for what? So this is what we have. You have these little dotted lines. So it kind of looks like something like this. And there's these little dotted lines. Okay, I can't draw this. But anyway, you're only using this to get in here and make your turn into the strip center or wherever you're going. You cannot come up in here, get in here to pass the car and get back over. That's illegal, okay? So you are driving car A. You may legally use the middle lane to make a left turn, all right? Number 21, you're driving car B. The solid line tells you what? Never to pass. Never to pass. All right? Now we're going to get into some lines. Now, if you cannot see this, these cars over here, let's go to yellow. Okay, so these cars over here have a yellow line, and these cars over here have a dotted yellow line. Okay? So I want to say, so these cars over here are dotted, and these cars over here are solid yellow. All right, so let me erase that so we get that off the board there. Okay, and so we can answer the questions. Now, you are driving car D. You may what? So here is car D right here. because you have dotted lines, you could pass, okay? You could pass when it's clear, all right? So you have dotted lines, but it's not clear because there's a car here. But you could pass because you have dotted lines on your side. You are driving car B, so B is right here. Never pass here because, never pass here. So basically right here that you cannot pass because you have a solid yellow line. You are driving car A, which is this right here. Okay, car A says you are driving car A, you may what? Never pass here. You have a solid yellow line. Okay, so be aware of that. All right. What does the white line tell you? So if you're driving on the road and you have a white line, what does a white line tell you? All right, what does a white line tell you? I'm going to get you to think about that a little bit. All right, a white line tells you, I didn't say whether it's broken, solid, striped, double solid. I just want to know what a white line tells you. A white line tells you that there is one-way traffic. What does a yellow line tell you? A yellow line tells you there's two-way traffic. Okay? All right? So kind of be aware of that. And that's very important. So now we're going to get into what we're going to talk about. So let's say you got a line, a double solid line. A double solid line means you're never going to pass. You have a solid line. No pass, but you can cross. A double solid is no pass, no cross. And then the dotted line, you can pass and cross. Okay, so hope that helps you when you get ready to take your permit test for some questions like that. But those are kind of important to know, especially when you get out there to get driving, because you're going to get a permit here after you finish chapter 1 when you go to the DPS. All right, let's go to the next chapter. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, next page. All right, you are driving car A. Which lanes are you legally allowed to turn in? Okay, so this is hard for you to see, I know that. So this is car, I'm sorry, no, that's not car A. I can't even see it. This is car A right here. Okay, the car A is legally allowed to turn in this first lane. All right, this is two lanes on that side, 2 lanes on this side. So be aware of that. When car A is making, which car is making a very dangerous illegal right turn? Mainly this one. Okay, I know that this one is making a turn out of the wrong lane into the wrong lane, so that's a left turn. This one's making it wide. That's not necessarily wrong if there was a car parked here. All right, so but this one's going wide, and then he lane changes without a blinker. That's why this one is worse than the others. All right. So if car C's turn is illegal, why? So this is car C that they're turning about. He's turning out of the wrong lane and he's turning into the wrong lane. So be aware of that. We always want to turn from this lane into the closest lane. That's very important. If you're taking a driving test and you're like in this car right here, let's go to this car, and you turn wide like that, you're going to lose 2 points because you're telling me you can't make a good turn without going wide. So be aware of that. I got another screen after this slide. I got another screen to talk about this, maybe show it a little bit better. Okay, an emergency vehicle is in your sight. So here is the emergency vehicle. All right, so let's talk about each car. We're not going to read these questions. We're going to talk about this. What does this car need to do? This car needs to slow down. He needs to slow down almost 500 feet from that ambulance. Okay, this car here needs to pull over. This car here does not need to do anything. It can keep on going. This car right here needs to stop because this guy might be making a turn in there. All right, so be aware of that. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to pull to the right. It just means you need to stop But obviously, if you're in the way, pull over so the ambulance can keep going straight. So be aware of that. Which vehicle would continue without worrying about emergency vehicle? Okay. Obviously, the one that would not have to continue about the emergency vehicle, which one do you think that is? That would obviously be this one, is the only one. Okay. If you are driving and approach this light, so you're driving and approach this flashing yellow light, okay, this is very difficult. I'm going to go to the next slide to draw this up. I'm trying to think. The reason why this is the most difficult light is because you don't, I know what's in front of me, but I don't know what's out to the side of me, okay, if I could do that to the side of me. That's very important. So if I'm the car right here, I know what I got here is yellow, but I don't know if these guys are going to stop for sure on their red light or yellow light or whatever. So very important, very dangerous light. I would always approach these yellow flashing lights with caution. Okay. So here's the yellow broken lines that we're talking about. Notice that you got B. B actually could pass now because he's past the solid line, so he could go past that. All right. D can pass but cannot because of A. A has a solid yellow line right here, cannot pass. E can pass after he gets about down here. He could pass if there was a car down here. And C is ready to go. So that's to kind of help you. Here's the other picture we were talking about a little bit better. You see car C turning out of the wrong lane. Car B turns out of the wrong lane and then lane changes over. Car A, we want car A to go into the first lane. While car D, we want them to go into this lane. All right? So hopefully that'll help you, because I know those pictures were probably hard to see if you were doing this on the iPhone. All right, so here we are on this particular worksheet. Again, for some of y'all, this is a school bus. I have a slide after this to kind of show this picture better. All right, so you're driving car A, what should you do? So I'm car A here. I can still go. I do not have to stop for the bus because I have a median here. All right. Now, if this was just a painted line going across like this, I would have to stop. And that's how you tell the difference on these school buses. If there's a median, you don't have to stop. If it's just a painted line dividing the cars from each other, then you have to stop. If you're driving car C, what should you do? So this is car C. What should you do? Basically, you need to stop. You cannot go around it. Going around this bus while the flag's still out and the red lights and yellow lights are going could be almost $1,000 fine. So be aware of that. 36. When entering the freeway, who has the right-of-way? The people on the freeway have the right-of-way. When exiting the freeway, who has the right-of-way? The people on exiting the freeway have the right-of-way. And they usually have it all 3, 4, 5 lanes unless there's a double solid white line dividing it. So be aware of that. When you're driving on the streets other than the freeway and you don't know what the speed limit is, you can't find it, the speed limit is what? What do you think it is? It is actually 30 miles an hour. Okay? Most subdivisions are not going to post a speed limit. It is assumed in a subdivision the speed limit is 30. Now, if that subdivision wants it to be lower or wants it to be higher, they can get together and go to the courthouse and protest that and get a sign put out there, because you will see in some subdivisions there are signs that say 20 miles an hour. The rule is this: if the subdivision wants it lower, they got to have a sign that says it's 20 miles an hour. All right? Just because some neighbor shakes his finger at you and says the speed limit's 10 miles an hour. No, where's the speed limit sign? Okay, so most subdivisions, the speed limit is 30 unless it is posted. All right, that's important. Again, on the feeder road next to a freeway, it's usually 45 unless it's posted otherwise. All right. The officer can give you a speeding ticket if you are driving what? What do you think here? The officer can give you a speeding ticket if you're going 5 miles over, you're going 10 miles over. Yeah, you'll have some parents that'll tell you, oh, you don't have to worry about it. They ain't gonna give me a ticket till 10 miles an hour. An officer can give you a ticket going the speed limit, all right? And you probably say, well, why is that? The speed limit is 70 miles an hour. It's pouring down rain. It's got fog. You can't see. If you were to get a ticket, the ticket doesn't say, woohoo, you were a speeder. It says you are driving too fast for conditions. So be aware of that. There are places in Texas that I've seen that have a speed limit of 85 miles an hour. All right? So be aware of that. So the answer to this would be all of the above. All right? When driving in a school zone of 20 miles an hour in the summer, is the law still in effect? Yes, the law is still in effect. Now, most of these schools have the flashing lights and they'll turn them off during summer. So be aware of that. When making a U-turn, we go to the top of the opening, okay? Now, I'm going to talk about this one on the next slide, guys. I'm going to talk about this on the next slide. When driving on the freeway, we want to drive with the flow of traffic. Or can we drive with the flow of traffic? Yes, if it's within the speed limit. Is it safe to wave someone on at an intersection? No, don't do this. All right? You could have two cars come out thinking you're waving at them. All right? Remember, they can't see who you're looking at. They can see your hand waving, but sometimes they can't see who you're looking at. So I wouldn't wave them on. All right? So I hope that helps. Let's go to the next slide. I want to talk about the U-turns. The next slide right here, we're talking about the U-turns. Okay, guys, we're definitely not talking about this. So we're not talking about this, all right? We're only going to talk about car Z and car V. So let's say car Z goes here, and say car V goes right here. Who has the right of way? Who is correct? Car Z or car V? The actual correct person is car V, because car V can see these cars, car Z cannot. And if you really decided this, you could say that there is a divided road here and car V is on the correct side of the road. So be aware of that when we're talking about top of the median. So you're going to always go to the top of the median. So let's say car Z goes here. Where does car V wait? It comes right here and it waits right here, lets it clear out, and then you go up in there and get in there. That doesn't mean, okay, that doesn't mean that if car A comes here that I go right here. No, do not do that. You wait there until car A clears out. I've actually gotten a ticket on this, all right, in my earlier years before I was a driver's ed teacher. So I've gotten a ticket on this, so I know this one real well. So again, go to here, all right. Now if this car comes all the way to right here, you still go to the other side of it and fit it right in there. All right. So that hopefully that'll help you on that. We talked about the school bus. On the school bus, if this is the school bus, basically C has to wait. There's a median here, so A doesn't have to wait, B doesn't have to wait. Now if it's a painted line that divides this, you have to wait. A median divided ditch, you don't have to wait. When in doubt, you could wait. There wouldn't be anything wrong with that, but you got to watch these cars behind you hitting you in the rear end. All right? All right, we're going to watch this video.
Is that okay? Answer me if you're okay.
Fond du Lac County 911, where's your emergency?
We've been in an accident.
Okay.
We're on Beach just out of Camelsport.
Okay. Do you have a better crossroad at all?
V.
Okay. And how many?
We got 9 girls here.
How many vehicles?
One vehicle.
Is anybody injured?
We've got 9 people very injured.
Okay, what kind of injuries?
I don't know. I can't hear all of them. We've got a smushed car. I'm unsure how to tell.
Were you involved?
We do need help.
Okay, were you involved?
Please, thank you.
Ma'am?
I was invited to a sleepover with a group of girls that were going to be on the soccer team. We ended up having a good time. First of all, we were painting nails, doing anything girls would do at a sleepover, when we decided that we wanted to go get some food. So we left the house. It was probably around midnight when we left the house. We had also had some toilet paper that we were planning on going to TP with. We ended up at Taco Bell, having a great time. Probably one of the best sleepovers I'd been to, especially since it was a new group of girls that I hadn't known. After Taco Bell, we went to a few different houses, finally chose one that we wanted to TP. TP'd out of fun. Then after TPing, it was time to go home. We were finished. We were on our way back to Katie Berg's house.
I texted Katie. They were on their way home, and she said, she told me, yes, got the job done, meaning they were TPing. And then within about 15-20 minutes, they weren't home yet, and all of a sudden we heard sirens because we don't live too far from the fire station. And then I woke Jim up and I said, the girls are not home yet. They were on their way home and I hear sirens. I need to try and get a hold of Katie. And I tried to get a hold of Katie and there was no answer. And that's when we started to panic. And we went outside and we heard more and more sirens. And then we went down to the fire station and they said there's been a horrific crash. And they were going to set up, and helicopters, Flight for Life was coming in to the high school parking lot.
EMTs, we respond to scenes. We do not ask for this. We are forced into this situation. It affects everybody, not just the people involved. It affects everybody here on the fire scene, ambulance, police, and surrounding community. So every girl that was in that vehicle, we either knew or had either stayed at our house at least one time. So it could have been my daughter, could have been anybody's daughter. All these girls I knew. Some of the girls I couldn't even tell who they were that night with the blood.
I remember waking up in the field and I was looking around and I didn't really know what happened. And I tried to get up, but I couldn't. And then Carly came over to me and I asked her what happened. And she said that we were in a bad car accident. And then I asked her if she could stay by me and she said no, she had to go find the other girls. And then I passed out again. And then I just remember waking up to the EMTs and the ambulance lights.
It was dark and cold, and it was just it was scary. I didn't think anything was wrong. I was fine. I knew I was going to be okay. I was talkative, I was responsive. I didn't think anything was wrong at that point. I just figured everyone had a few injuries, no big deal. And then next thing I knew, I was watching these ambulances pull up and watching these EMTs pull up and pronouncing my friend's dead. Yeah.
Phone rang. It was about 5:20.
5:23.
Didn't have a clue what it was, who
Why
would
we're
be
getting
call so early. Got up, picked up the phone, and it was Mrs. Berg, Bonnie Berg, calling. And she said the girls never made it home.
She was hysterical.
Yeah, I had the phone, but he could hear her hysterical voice through
To the receiver.
that I was holding.
I mean, I was in bed. I jumped out of bed, so you're 10, 15 feet away from me, and I could hear Bonnie through the receiver.
But she said, the girls never made it home. And I said, Bonnie, what do you mean the girls never made it home? They're sleeping over at your house. And then she said
She's talking about sirens and choppers
and she said they never made it home. They went out, they never made it home. And then she's talking about, but I don't know how many times it says, Bonnie, slow down, calm down.
Bonnie, calm down.
Just so I could try to piece together what she was trying to tell me.
And you said, Bonnie, where do we go?
And that's where she says, I don't know. I don't know where anybody is. There's kids going down to Milwaukee. There's kids getting ambulance to Fond du Lac.
Well, that night, Sabrina's brother Nick took her to the gathering of the teammates. They were going to be teammates. They weren't all friends. Some of the girls, actually, that was the first night they met each other. She was excited because she was an underclassman, and the upperclassmen who were friends of her brother invited her to be part of this. So we all told her, you should go. They want you to be part of the team.
Yeah, she was excited to go. I mean, she thought it'd be
right.
an idea.
And then the next morning, we got notification because our two boys, Nathan and Nicholas, they had to be at a wrestling tournament, and they had to be up at the high school at 7 o'clock. And then they started texting and calling saying, get a hold of Sabrina right away. There's been an accident with all the soccer girls. So I tried calling her phone. I didn't know who to call because nobody had notified us at that point. Actually, nobody notified us at all that morning. I had to call around. I called hospitals. They couldn't give me anything because of HIPAA. I called Mr. Scannell because I had his number, and he's the one who told me his daughter, that Caitlin, had passed. So I didn't want to call any more parents because that is not what I wanted to hear, but I didn't know who to call.
At 7 o'clock that morning, I received a call from Sabrina's mom, and she knew that I was there. And she asked me if I knew anything about her daughter or how she was. My wife was also an EMT. She was here on the scene that night also. I knew she was dead. I couldn't tell her over the phone that her daughter was dead. The next day, my wife and I went there, and we apologized. We went to the Scannells. We went to all three of the girls that passed.
I remember that when we were traveling down the road, speed was increasing, and then as we had started to go up the hill, we took air, and I remember landing. We were all laughing and screaming, not out of fright, but out of fun. But then the vehicle did a little bounce, and there was dead silence because we swerved right, left, right, left, and hit the ditch and missed the telephone pole. So then we were continuing through the field at a high amount of speed, and I remember the first couple rolls. Then, since I hadn't been buckled, I remember the moment that I hit my head up on top of the roof of the vehicle, and I can still recall the sound exactly of the vehicle. But after that moment of hitting my head, I blacked out, and a while after I woke up on the ground, and nothing felt real. I didn't know what was going on, really. I literally felt like I was in a nightmare. It still is a nightmare.
Hello?
Hi there, Kylie?
Yes.
Hi there, this is the 911 center calling.
Do you know my location?
Okay, hold on. Yes, are you on Beechnut Drive?
Yes, Beechnut Drive.
Okay, hold on one second. I've got officers and multiple ambulances responding, okay? Just
Awesome, that is, thank you.
Okay, I need you to stay on the line with me for 1 second, okay?
Okay. Teresa, honey. Teresa, where are you going?
Okay.
Are you okay, Teresa? Teresa,
Okay, Kylie, you said there's 9 people injured, correct?
9 or 8, I can't remember right now. I think just 8.
Okay, is anybody pinned in?
I don't see anyone pinned in right now.
Okay.
But my car is pretty smushed.
Okay, is anybody unconscious?
One is not responding to me. The rest of them are awake.
And were you involved or did you just come across it?
I was driving.
Okay.
Teresa, are you okay, honey?
You're all teenagers or?
We're all teenagers, yes. I was driving too fast down the road and I got us all into an accident. Here, I see the ambulance. I'm going to get it.
As a crash reconstructionist investigating this crash, we were able to determine the following. In the distance, you'll see the far hill, and then you'll see the closest hill to us, and then behind us is a third hill. So what happens is the vehicle comes over the hill in the distance at a high rate of speed. The road then comes down to the hill, it levels off for a short distance, and then you'll crest the small hill. Now, you're coming over the small hill, again, well in excess of the speed limit. You come down into this knoll where the bike trail is, and then you'll go up the third hill. And when they crest this third hill is where the problem happens. When they come over the small hill and they start to go down, the speed at which they're traveling, it creates the weight of the vehicle is going to come off the springs. So now you're going to lose a little steering. You come down into the hollow, if you will, is the best way I can describe it, or knoll. Now the weight on the vehicle is compressed onto the springs, and so when they come up the third hill, you have that little extra kick that takes the weight off the springs. And at that point, the vehicle, when I say airborne, I don't mean that the vehicle is 5, 10 feet, 15 in the air. What it does is it becomes airborne, and what I mean by that is the tires come off the roadway. And it could be 2 inches, it could be 5 inches, it could be 6 inches. But now the tires have lost contact with the road. So now you've lost all steering. And in essence, what happens is, if it's a matter of the driver just merely inputting a little bit of steering to the left, or if it was caused because the weight of the vehicle came up, now the tires are off, and with that weight, does it just enough turn her? And when the car lands back on the tires aren't straight, they're canted a little bit to the left. So now, of course, the vehicle wants to veer to the left. So at that point, the driver then tries to correct by input steering to the right. Well, she gets it corrected, but now there's a little overcorrection. Now she's got to steer it back to the left. And what happens is you get the serpentine effect. And what I mean by that is left, right, by steering back and forth, back and forth. But once you lose it, you've lost it. And there's not much steering input that you're going to be able to correct it if you're going that fast. Slower speeds, you can correct it. Faster speeds, once you lose it, you've lost it. So after the vehicle is done serpentining, it now travels into the ditch. And prior to entering the field, there's a large stone. The passenger side of that vehicle strikes the stone. That in turn then causes the vehicle to pitch towards the driver's side. And at that point, it starts its roll over the 350 feet. And during that 350 feet is when occupants then are thrown from the vehicle.
Well, those little hills that you have on the roads that you can go over and it makes your stomach drop, that's what we were going for. And it just, I've been over them before at way slower speeds, and they still made my stomach drop.
Everything happened so fast and nobody told the driver to slow down. We all had a chance to tell them to slow down and we didn't. The fun was not worth any of this whatsoever.
I broke my back in 3 spots. I lost vision in my left eye. I broke both arms. I had severe lacerations to my head and brain damage.
I still will find myself sitting in class or trying to fall asleep. I'll wake up at 3 in the morning and I'll have flashbacks. And I can still hear the noise of the silence of us girls in the vehicle from when we knew it wasn't right. And I can still hear the sound of the crashing, of the rolling of the vehicle.
The cause of the crash was due to high speed. This was a dangerous road, and to mix the dangerous road with speed is not going to equal anything good. And because of that high speed, every second of my day, my heart aches for the rest of my life, and along with a lot of other people. And all because of one mistake of the high rate of speed. It just, forever, we have to suffer for one moment of what they thought or the driver thought was going to be a thrill, is now we have to suffer.
I don't call it an accident, I call it a crash, because going at such an excessive speed and having this crash occur, that was a deliberate, conscious choice of the driver to go that fast. She put her life, the driver, in jeopardy, and she put every passenger's life in jeopardy. It's just a miracle that there are 6 survivors from that crash, because the excessive speed,
and that they can all
9
walk
of
and
them.
talk to them.
Yes, and that there's no, to me it's a miracle, because if you saw the vehicle, it was terribly, just every window blown out, tires gone. We saw the vehicle months later, because I had to see that vehicle and put my hand on the seat where my daughter took her last breaths.
There's images in my mind from that night that will never go away. They're in there forever. It is something you cannot fathom unless you see it.
As a deputy for 31 years and being involved in crash reconstruction, there seems to be a certain underlying factor in a lot of crashes, and that's speed. And if you're a passenger in a vehicle and you feel that that driver is going too fast, you need to, for your own safety, tell that driver to slow down. I guess my thought is that you have a choice. You can be a continuation of the problems that are on the highway, which is being aggressive, excessive speed, following too close, taking unnecessary risks, being inattentive. Or you can be part of the solution. Drive the speed limit, increase that following distance, be patient, and you have a choice. Which are you going to choose?
That is a message I want parents to remind their children every time they walk out the door, to drive responsible. Speed kills. You
can never say it enough.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with repeating it.
And kids have to understand, our young adults have to understand, when they take that wheel, they are responsible for everybody in that vehicle.
There's just so much that can happen. You could blow a tire out, you could lose a tie rod, brake, you could have something run out ahead of you, a farmer's dog, you could have a child. There's recreational trails that someone could be crossing. There could be another vehicle that's coming towards you and you're losing control, and it's never safe. And because of it, there's 3 lives lost and there were several injured. And these were lives. This wasn't an event that happened. This was a speed, and you can't move on that easily. And you never get a second chance after that. There's not a second chance. There's one chance there, and it was taken the wrong way. And now, as a result, that there's.
I guess we don't want anybody else to have to go through this either. It's like. I mean, things happen so fast with kids. I guess sometimes kids figure if they don't say nothing, things will be, maybe they didn't realize how fast she was going, but I mean, maybe if someone would have said something, she might have slowed down and all 9 girls would still be here instead of only 6.
And parents, you have to let your kids know that when they start driving, they are responsible for everyone in that vehicle. Whatever happens, whether it's an accident or not, they are responsible for the results of what happens.
Because we got 2 older sons, and we always tell them that. I mean, that's so tough because Sabrina didn't drive, so we just hope that when she was with somebody, well, that was the first time she was with older girls. Just kind of assumed every parent told their kids the same thing, Because, yeah, you're responsible for their safety.
And if your child feels that they're not in a safe situation, tell them to call home. Tell them to, give you a call to come pick them up, because I'd rather see them, and I'm sure you would rather see them be in a safe vehicle than having to get in a car that they don't feel safe in.
That car went 800 and some feet from the time it left the road. I think it rolled 5 times or 6 times. The speed thing is a major thing. We need to slow down. Kids need to slow down. Like I said, maybe kids should see some of these pictures of these kids that are killed rather than hiding it from them. Maybe if you'd see the blood, maybe if you'd see the head that was split open, maybe if you'd see some of this stuff, you guys would remember what the heck's going on. But they don't have a clue. They forget. They think they're invincible. They think that nothing's going to happen to them.
I am very fortunate that I am still here, but speed does kill. Clearly, it is seen that I don't have 3 great friends of mine, and I never will have them back, and I would do anything to have them back in a heartbeat, but speed kills. If I could turn the clock back, I would in a heartbeat. Wouldn't be an option. I would do anything to have those 3 girls back here with me. Do anything to not have to go through what I do on a daily basis, and to not have seen what I saw, and I would turn the clock back if I could and say something, slow down, anything.
After going through this experience, I think it's important for people to follow the speed limits because there's a reason they're there, and it's for your safety. And if you ever are going above the speed limit where you're uncomfortable, or somebody else is, that you should really just tell them to stop before anything bad happens where you can't go back.
Don't be scared to speak up. It doesn't make you a wimp. It doesn't make you a bad kid for saying slow down. It would have saved some lives if I would have done it. And I would give anything, like I said, to go back and say slow down, please.
I love taking pictures, and my daughter Katie loved being in them, so the 2 of us together, it was a lot of fun. And this picture frame here represents all the pictures that Katie will never be in as a result of the high-speed crash. This would have been a picture of her with her friends playing soccer, and a picture of her at her junior prom, and a picture of her doing a powder puff game in school with the girls, and a picture of her graduating her senior year, and a picture of us going with her to different colleges, looking at where she's going to go, and a picture of us going to Germany to see her brother over there, vacation. There's so many pictures that are not here that would have been if it wasn't because of this speed that killed her.
We were just all having fun and didn't think anything bad was going to happen. Nobody ever thinks anything bad's going to happen.
This is a difficult case. You've got the lives of 3 promising young women that are gone. You can't bring them back. It was just a horrific scene with these girls, one dead, some dying, or most very seriously injured. I really don't care a whole lot whose idea it was or whether they were egging her on to do that. I just don't give anybody a break for peer pressure. I never have. The bottom line is whether it was her idea or one of the other girls or whatever, she was driving the car. She was responsible for the safety of the other girls.
That night, it was just a bunch of girls having fun. We were at Katie's house, and we were painting each other's nails, and then we decided to go to Taco Bell, And then we TP'd a friend's house, and I just remember everyone having a blast and having a smile on their face, and we couldn't stop laughing. And even in the car up to the last second, I just remember hearing laughs.
We're all teenagers, yes. I was driving too fast down the road and I got us all into an accident.
All right, what to do next? You can now look at the quiz that you're going to be taking. So I'm going to kind of go over some of the questions here. I might answer them, I might not. I'm always going to put the quiz out there as sort of review questions. So when you go to the learn part, you can at least look at them, be looking for them. All right. You might want to get your iPhones out, take a picture of them so you can blow them up as you're going through your learn. It'll help you understand what to study for. All right. So when you go to the next icon after the learn, you'll take the quiz. You must pass with a 70 above. Remember, you are not taking the quiz here. Okay, you're not taking the quiz here. The quiz is the icon that says quiz, and it has to turn purple. These are just sample questions that you will see. All right, so here we go. All right. Number one, in order to obtain a learner license instructor permit in Texas, you should be what? You got to be at least 15 years old. Everybody should know that. The minimum age a licensed driver must accompany a driver is someone over 21 that is licensed. Not just 21. A 21-year-old can't sit there, they don't have a license. It must be someone 21 and they have a license. All right. An applicant must score on the rules and signs tests when applying for a learner's license. Y'all should know that. The type of license that will allow a person to drive large truck and van is usually CDLs. All right. When operating under a graduation license program, individuals restricted license using a wireless device, including hands-free, until they reach what? Actually, this quiz answer has changed, and I'm pretty sure it says nobody could use a device. So it still may be in their quiz, but what happened on the quiz, it used to be under the age of 18. But if you get this answer in the quiz, just answer the answer 18. I think they may have not taken that off. If they didn't, it should be nobody. All right, on that quiz. So a driver's license suspended for what? A driver's license could be suspended for a fake ID. Okay, and it also could get suspended for habitual reckless driving. All right. If both of these answers pop up in the same question, I would definitely just pick habitual reckless driving, because that is a more serious offense. That means you're trying to kill people with your car. All right. Actually, I didn't see that. Right up here, it has all the above. So I would pick all of the above. I didn't see that it was on the next page. When an emergency vehicle approaches using a siren, you should what? Yield the right of way. Red lights are flashing on railroad crossings and train approach. You must what? So I'll let you look that one up. That one's a good one. A railroad crossing sign is considered what? Is this considered a speed limit sign? No. A warning sign? Yes. A yield sign? Yes. Actually, the railroad crossing sign bucks are considered almost like a stop sign. Red signs indicate what? Prohibited and stop. The color of a general warning signs is what? What color is it? It is usually yellow. All right. What's the color of a construction? Orange. All right. An octagon shape is what? Stop. It's a stop sign. A round-shaped traffic sign indicates what? Usually those or railroad crossings. I know if you came from Mexico, the stop signs are yellow. They're not octagon. So don't let that confuse you. A rectangle shape sign indicates I'm not going to go over that one. I want you to look that one up. Okay, I don't want to go over all these. Okay, a person who wears an orange vest is often provided a roadway work zones, slow guide through the area. All right, I'll let you go over that one. That one should be pretty easy. Always signal when you are going to what? Change lanes, make a left turn, you know, pull in a parallel parking curb. So all the above on that one. A yellow line means, we've gone over that. Y'all should know that. A solid yellow line, we've gone over that. A railroad railroad marking indicates what? Okay, so what they're saying is this sign indicates what? All right. And we're talking about this sign. This is a pretty weird one here. This is a left only. This is a left. And then this is a straight. The sign indicates that the traffic lane turn left. Okay, so can both lanes go straight? No. Okay. Both lanes can turn left. Yes. So I like C. A and B must yield. So I like C. The answer is C. Both lanes can turn left. All right. And you may go straight in this lane. All right. So it kind of means that. Doesn't mean that that one's going to be that. Okay. That's an only turn. All right. The standard color for construction sign, I'll let you look that one up. You should know that one. You should signal at least what? This one's kind of hard, but usually it's always 100 feet. All right, whenever you're signaling for a lane change or turning at an intersection, it's usually like 5 cars out. The hand signal indicates what? Now, if you can't see this, he's got his arm up like this, so this is the left turn. And then if he had his arm out this way, this would be, I'm sorry, that would be a left turn. The hand up like this is a right turn. The hand down is a stop turn. The standard color for recreational traffic sign, I'm going to let you look that one up. All right. So let's go to the next slide. When parking downhill on a curve, which way should the wheels be? Think about it. You're down like this. All right. That should be. I want you to look that one up, but I want you to kind of think about it. If you had a curve, which way should the wheels be? Remember, if the wheels stay straight, which way is the car going to roll? It's going to keep rolling straight because it's downhill. All right. You must park at least what from a fire hydrant? I'm going to let you look that one up. That one's kind of weird, but it's pretty easy. The speed limit in urban districts is what? We talked about that. It's 30. You should dim your headlights within so many feet. I'm going to let you look that one up. All right. I know the answer, but I want you to look that one up. That one's really easy. It's in that in the first chapter or second chapter. Okay. True, false. In Texas, it is illegal to pass on the right of way of any circumstances. In Texas, is it illegal to pass on the right under any circumstances? So that means the car is here, and I'm going to pass around the right here. It is illegal to pass on the right. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're on the freeway and you got the slow driver driving in the passing lane, it's not called the fast lane. It's called the passing lane, and you need to get around him. You could do that, but we don't want you to drive off the road to pass someone on the right. Okay, that was false. And if the foot brake fails, the parking brake may be used to help you stop. Obviously true. When two facing vehicles approach a four-way stop approximately the same time, the driver who wants to turn left right away, you should know this one. We've discussed that. When two or more vehicles approach a four-way stop approximately at the same time, the driver of the vehicle on the left should yield the right away to the vehicle on the right. We talked about that one. Basically, safety rules when passing include give proper turn signals and tap your horn when necessary, avoiding surprises. Okay, I'll let you answer that one too. All right, so let's go to the next slide. I think that's it for our questions. Okay, now this says, now look at your learner's part, study your science part, look at the other parts. Make sure you take Module 1 quiz, pass it, it'll turn purple. Then you take the permit test, pass it, it'll turn purple. If for some reason it turns black, email us to reset it. Yes, this is the real deal permit test that you would take at the DPS. What happens if you don't pass the quiz or the permit test? You get to take them over and over and over. Now the permit test, you cannot take over for 24 hours. There's a timer on it. So if you don't pass it, I will see that the timer's on there and I will not reset it. And I usually don't have to. When that timer goes off, it goes back to that. Now, let me give you some simple go-to rules on the permit test. On the permit test, if you see fines are usually $200 or $2,000. All right, so you're going to read that. It's going to be hard. The permit test may ask you about fines. 99% of the time, all right, you should get it right. The fines are $200 or $2,000. So when you're reading it, it has a whole bunch of fines. If there's a 200, pick it. If there's a 2,000, pick it. 200 or 2,000 won't be in the same answers. Now, let's say you get an answer and there's no 200 or no 2,000. Then what I want you to do is pick the cheapest fine. All right? If you got to guess, I want you to guess the longest answer. If you just don't know the answer, just guess the longest answer. Stay away from answers like speed up, hurry up, move quickly. Those are bad answers. They're trying to trick you. All right? You get your license suspended on the permit test. That what you're going to take is usually habitual reckless driving and fake ID. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else in there? Try to remember the number 2, and what we mean by that is obviously 200, 2,000 for the fines. There may be 100 feet to turn. Do look up in your learn part the lights, how far your lights need to be on, whether they need to be on at sunset, after sunset, so on and so forth. Look that up. That'll help you in there. That should be good. Those are that should help you. You should do well on the permit test. Now, when you pass the permit test, print off the certificate. Watch the video on what to take to DPS. Print that certificate off and go to the DPS and get your permit. Okay, so do that. Now, some of you may not do that right away, and it may be like a Saturday and Sunday and the DPS is not open. That's fine. Go to Module 2, go to Module 3. You can do those while you're waiting, but go get the permit soon, okay? Don't wait, all right? That's important. All right, so guys, good luck on your test. We'll see you hopefully in Module 2 video. Thanks.
A lot of people don't realize how dangerous speeding can be. The lower limits you see posted in neighborhoods are there for a reason, so when the unexpected happens, you have time to stop. Because even 5 or 10 miles over the limit can mean the difference between a near miss and a hit. Stop speeding before it stops you.